everybody. Welcome to Vanguard Rovers Game Week 13 review. I'm Sean, joined as ever by Phil and Nathan. Good evening, chaps. How you doing?
Very good.
Brilliant.
Very good, thank
Good
you.
stuff. Busy weekend of football again as ever. Let's get straight into it. Brentford Burnley 3-1 Brentford. I got 4 points for that one. Correctly predicted 3-1. Nathan, you predicted 1-0 Brentford. You'll take us through that one.
Yeah, so it was a game that was quite close to sort of leading up into the sort of the back end of the game. It was a little bit tricky for Brentford because obviously Burnley are a hard team to break down. I know that they are down there in the bottom half of the table. Well, they're in the bottom three now, aren't they? But if you look at here, this up until the 80th minute, it was 0-0, and then all of a sudden 4 goals come, literally all in the space of the last 10 minutes. So it's one of those. That's where you're looking at Burnley. You're extremely disappointed that you're not able to see that game out at 0-0, especially at a tough place, away at Brentford. But it's a win that's obviously good for Brentford, bad for Burnley. I think obviously you look at the results that they've had over the last few weeks. It's not been good enough. They are starting to get into that rhythm now of not picking up results, and when you start doing that, you start you find it hard to start getting out of that bottom three. But Thiago, I think he's doing really well. Is he the second top goal scorer of the Premier League at the minute now? For
Same like fantasy team, put it that way.
yeah, so he's doing really well, isn't he? For Brentford, he's obviously their target man. Grabs himself 2 goals. Watara scores as well later on. But like I say, if you're Burnley, you're really disappointed to concede 3 goals in the last 10 minutes. So it's not good enough. So they need to improve and they need to improve quickly.
Point for yourself then, Nathan. Phil, you had it 2-1. Another point for yourself. You want to touch on what Nathan said?
Yeah, I think you changed our scoring. I thought it was 3 points for the right result and 1 point for getting the right score. But we'll let you have what you've said. Anything to try and catch this gap up there. No, we'll. I think it's what we said in last week's show. I'm pretty sure. What?
Been the same every
Anyway,
week.
we I think it's what we said last week, isn't it? Like, that Brentford will just have too much experience. You know what I mean? And like, as much as it was an insane last 9-10 minutes, it's what we said. Burnley have shown naivety this season. That's the difference between the Championship and the Premiership, isn't it? Like, you can get away with playing well for 70, 80 minutes in the Championship and probably walk away with a win in 78% of your games. In the Premiership, it's 100 minutes you've got to be switched on for, and if you're not switched on for 100 minutes, it'll cost you. 3 goals, an extreme example of that in the last 10 minutes, but here's exactly what we're saying. You've got to concentrate all the way through to the end, and unfortunately, they didn't show that. And Brentford, I think we said, would show the fact they've been a Premiership team much longer and they've adapted to the league, and they're a solid Premier League outfit, and that would be the difference in it, and it was the difference. So yeah, kind of, as much as it's a disappointing result for Burnley once you get to 9 minutes away from the end, it played out pretty much how we all said it would. Burnley, Brentford's increased Premiership now would see them through, and that's what happened. So disappointing for Burnley, but solid win for Brentford. And again, they continue to prove our pre-season predictions wrong, don't they? After their transfer window. So fair play, Brentford. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing really well. Another solid win for them. They're scoring again. Great to have in your fantasy team. Again, talking of fantasy football, make sure your teams are locked in tomorrow because we've got extra games this week. Got another game week tomorrow. So don't forget about your transfers. There's a few that need to be made, definitely. But yeah, let's carry on. We had City at home. Man City at home against Leeds. Leeds give them a bit of a scare, Phil. 3-2 it finished. You had 3-0.
Yeah, it was just well, if it had been based on the first half performance, I'd have been pretty correct. Well, to be honest, it was how many times this season with different teams we talked about a game of two halves, and that old cliche this season seems getting more and more extreme. And it was like two different Leeds Uniteds came out, wasn't it? Like first half trying to play it all conservative and cagey, and it wasn't working because Man City just far too good for that. And second half was a bit more like Bielsa, wasn't it? Like chuck all the caution to the wind and just go at them, and it nearly came off them. But again, just like we just said with Burnley there, the difference with the Championship is you switch off for 30 seconds, players like Foden on the pitch, and you risk everything, don't you? And that's probably what happened. And you'd be devastated as a Leeds fan. I didn't see. I've heard of there's Donnarumma cheating fast that's going on, and kind of there is an issue there maybe in terms of but as much as Daniel Farke's frustrated by it, and Leeds fans are frustrated by it, every team does it. I guarantee they've done it. We see it every single week, every single game. Players going down and rolling around for 5 minutes trying to buy time. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it backfires for you. Sometimes the opposition do it to you, and it's frustrating. We're all frustrated by it as fans. We all fucking hate it. When our own team does it, we go, "Oh, that's just the way football is." When the other team does it, we're all pissed off. So that is what it is. But at the end of the day, if you hadn't switched off when Foden had the ball, it would have been a draw, and you got your points. So fantastic effort from Leeds in the second half, but it was you don't get any points for a battling performance. Do you get points for the scorecard at the end of the day? And Man City just had too much, but it doesn't. There's nothing in that Manchester City performance that would have me concerned as an Arsenal fan over the course of the season, to be honest, because I still think they look shaky. But yeah, decent second half from Leeds, but it's not enough to get you the points in the Premier League.
Nathan, you had it 2-0, enough to keep up. Then performance that Leeds provided on Saturday, is it the signs there that there's something can change for them? Or are you still in the?
Oh yeah. So just to obviously recap, it's a bit of a disaster for the first half for Leeds. Obviously, they go behind after 50 odd seconds, is it? Foden scores in the first minute of the game. And then obviously it gets to 2-0. I think the consensus from the Leeds fans is that the second goal was offside. But again, it's one of them that if it was offside, it doesn't get given. I'm not sure it even goes to VAR. I'm not, because I didn't watch the game. I was listening to it. But obviously, you go in at 2-0 down, and Leeds are a little bit all over the place. And then you think to yourself, this is going to go on to be a cricket store. But what obviously Farke did well is he changed his system. I think he took Dan James off and Okafor off, and then he pushed his like he played a 5-3-2. So he pushed his left wing back and his right wing back up further up the field, and it worked. Obviously they started then to get a little bit of success. The defending for Calvert-Lewin's goal is extremely poor from Man City. It's a show, if I'm being completely honest. But obviously you've got to react, haven't you? And Calvert-Lewin reacts, he gets the goal, and then obviously the penalty that gets conceded. I think it's Guardiola again. I mean, it's a stonewall penalty. I mean, he absolutely takes
What he's moaning about, yeah. He was complaining about it, wasn't he?
And then obviously you've got the scandal involving Donnarumma, in you, where obviously he goes down injured or pretends to be injured, and it gives that time to get a team talking. It is a bit naughty, really, for him to do that. I think the referee, I think IFAB have come out and said that they are going to try and change, or I don't know what they're going to put into place.
Well, I had a great idea from Simon Jordan today. He was saying the answer is you just number one, you stop these drinks breaks, which are bullshit anyway, and number two, you just say any player who comes to the technical area gets booked.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit naughty, wasn't it? And I know obviously probably does that affect the result? I don't know, but obviously if you look, I know Farke did bring it up in his match. He's saying that he says it was a bit, he didn't like it. But then the problem is obviously then you're battling away, and then I think the last 10 minutes they get added on at the end of the game. And the problem is then you see 10 minutes and you think, oh, we're going to be a bit shaky. And I thought Leeds were good value for the second half. They were really good. And then obviously Phil Foden gets through a crowd of players and gets a shot away. I think that's why the keeper can't see it. Then it goes in, and it's a decent effort, but I don't think he should be scoring from there with that many people around. And again, and then that's the dagger, isn't it? That's the sort of the dagger into the heart of Leeds, because the second half they probably did deserve a draw. So, and this is to Phil's point, the Premier League is unforgiving, and if you switch off or you don't defend properly, then you pay the price. And unfortunately, now Leeds have got two very very tough games again, with Chelsea and Liverpool after this. And if you listen to sort of the media, if he doesn't get a result from these two games, that could be it for him. But it's a difficult one. So from Leeds, it was a massive spirited performance in the second half. They deserved a point out of the game, but unfortunately, they lost. And Man City, they are, they've got 3 points, but to me, I'm looking at them where, apart from, so I know we didn't score yesterday, but Haaland's the one who's been dragging them into a title challenge, but they are very shaky, and they've got a lot of creaks and cracks of Man City. So it wouldn't be surprised if they sort of bit of a patchy Christmas and New Year's period, because they literally cannot, they can't keep a clean sheet. And when and just to be 2-0 up against a team in the bottom half, and then in the relegation area, and to concede 2 goals in the second half and nearly draw the game is poor from a Man City perspective. But they got the result and they'll move on to the next one. But yeah, if you lead, you really feel really incredibly harshly done by that. So
Yeah, I feel a bit for these fans to be fair, because they had a team riddled full of injuries as well, didn't they? Missing a few players this weekend, so you know, heard the performance was good. I didn't heard it was a performance by Leeds, but it's ruthless, isn't it? The Premier League. Sunderland at
And they
home.
are Leeds fans, so don't feel too sorry for them.
Oh, I team. We had Sunderland at home against Bournemouth, finished 3-2. Bournemouth had a red card, played off. Nathan, you had it one apiece. Phil, you had it as a Desmond 2 apiece, and I had it Bournemouth 2-1. So nobody scored points there. Phil, what did you see, if anything?
So I was so close to the 4 points. But I think I think I said at the time, like you could call it any which way, couldn't you? And you know what? I'm chuffed to pieces. I think what Sunderland doing is great. I think it's they're not going to win anything, but I think it's up there with the Leicester story at the minute in terms of the start of the season and how they punched above their weight. To take down a team like Bournemouth, who are an extremely seasoned, well drilled, well managed, well coached Premier League outfit, is another credit to them. We talked a few times. The Stadium of Light is going to be an absolute fortress from this season. They proved it again. They never give up. They go to the end. And at the minute, they're taking points off everybody up there. So fantastic performance from Sunderland. They look absolutely lethal in that stadium. And they keep nicking the odd result away from home. They're going to be more than fine this season. So, yeah, fantastic result for Sunderland. Bournemouth, at the drawing board a little bit. They've been a little bit stop-start this season. They probably would have looked at the start of this season when you look at what other teams have done, maybe think they should be a little bit higher, or might have been expected to be a little bit higher. But because I think the way they've played, they maybe could have done that from previous seasons. But great result for Sunderland, fantastic result for Sunderland. All credit to them, and they go rolling on again. So yeah,
Nathan, you had it as a draw as well. You had it one. Did you see the red card?
yes, I did see the red card. It was deserved, to be fair. I think the frustrating thing from a Bournemouth perspective is you're 2-0 up. You, you get 2-0 up, and obviously Tyler Adams is. I don't know if you've seen that, but he lobbed. I think it's like a 45-yard. Sees the keeper off his line. Again, I am always suspect when keepers get lobbed from like 45, 50, because like they shouldn't be that far off the line, in my opinion. But and I don't know if the conditions were treacherous. I mean, it was absolutely hammering it down there as well, wasn't it? So obviously the conditions don't help either team. They obviously get back into it, Sunderland with a penalty, and then Traore scores a goal, and it's poor. He shouldn't be squeezing in from that angle, in my opinion. I think the keeper needs to do better. And then obviously it's the header from Robbery that wins him the game, and that's one of those where you look at the fading. So it's if you're Sunderland, you're 2-0 down, you come back and win the game. That's fantastic. If you're Bournemouth, you're 2-0 up and you lose 3-2. Not good enough. Need to improve. But Sunderland doing everything right at the minute, aren't they? Putting a lot of seasoned Premier League teams to shame at the minute, because this is how you need to do it. But the only concern for me from Sunderland is when they lose their players to the Africa Cup of Nations. I know it's just been announced that they're able to play in the Tyne and Weir derby, aren't they? So then they have to go on international duty. That'll be a big test for Sunderland, because when you lose a good four of your players, it's what your squad depth's like and how you react. Because that sort of Christmas and January period, again, it's really tough, isn't it? So, but they're doing everything right at the minute, Sunderland. So fair play to them.
Phil, do you want to on that?
what's that? The AFCON.
Yeah. How,
I mean, at the minute, you probably find you can't really tell what the issues are going to be, can you? Like, we don't know how everyone's going to be playing. We don't know what impact's going to have. You look at the start of the season. You said, "Oh, it's devastating for Liverpool to lose Mo Salah through the AFCON," and now you're looking at, well, it's probably won't even miss him. To be fair, they might have been better off without him. So it's going to be difficult for them to manage. But at the end of the day, they're creating themselves a cushion out. At the end, fundamentally, as I'm sure anyone from Sunderland's management team or board would tell you right now, that the target is exactly what it was 13 games ago. The target is to finish 17th. And at the minute, they're creating themselves a fantastic buffer that even with AFCON going to impact their squad. they're well on course to finish 17th. So that is their aim this season. They're carried away by now, whatever. But fundamentally, at the end of 38 games, they need to be 17th or higher. And I think at the minute, every point they get creates a buffer to minimise the impact on AFCON. It'd be wonderful for them if they could get towards the top half of the table, but that's not their aim. Their aim is to not get relegated. And at the minute, they're doing an awesome job of creating what they need to create to allow for the fact they're going to lose players to AFCON. So, and we all talk about AFCON being a massive thing. Fundamentally, I don't know, and I don't know which countries their players play for. If they're countries that are going to get knocked out after this group stage, they'll be back within 2 weeks. So again, yes, they could miss up to 6 weeks, but assume their nation reaches the final, they can't all reach the final. So I think it'll have an impact, but I'm hopeful for Sunderland it won't be some sort of devastating season-defining impact, but only time will tell. So
What you had? Yeah, sorry, yeah. But let's move on. Everton at home to Newcastle. Nice solid win for my boys. 4-1. Well, Everton didn't show up. Didn't show up. I don't. Baltimore scores a wonderful little cheeky over Pickford. And Chow, 2 great goals from set pieces. Great performance. I'm really chuffed that we showed up, showed face, showed a bit of character. It's just nice to see us playing football again. And I was well, we both predicted 2-1 for this one.
yeah, who could have predicted Everton would be so disappointing? They've not really been that this season. Do you know what I mean? It's the first time really I can think of where they've really let themselves down. Combine that with the fact that it appears the right Newcastle team got off the bus this week. And all things kind of dropped into place for Newcastle on the road. It's what they need to do. It's what we need to see from them if they want to drag themselves back into the top half of the table, because they've not seen enough of that this season. But yeah, Everton just really, really disappointing. And to be fair to him, it was a bit of a collector's item with a Jordan Pickford error. You don't see many of them, to be honest. So, he's one of the more solid, reliable keepers in the league. So, just a bad day at the office for Everton, and combined with Newcastle bringing the momentum they built at the weekend, last week, forward. Like I said, it was really a case of one team not there and one team delivered perfectly what they should have done, and creates that disparity in score. So yeah, really, really solid result, and Newcastle now need to build that momentum in Everton. I'm sure David Moyes will drag them with cup and to where they need to be, because that's just not like David Moyes' teams to not even put a fight in, really. So yeah,
Just a drop in performance from. I think Nathan, you had it 2-1. Everton had a bit more confidence in Everton this weekend. Unfortunately, didn't have them for you.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I think from that perspective, I genuinely thought Everton would have given you much more of a game. But again, the standard gets set early, doesn't it? You take the lead in the first minute, and then obviously you 2-0 up after 25 minutes. That's the precedent of the game, isn't it? By that, then Everton then start struggling. Then you go on. Does Voltemada score in this first half, or is it just before half time he scores, or is it just after the sec? Yeah. So obviously you go in at 3-0. Game Everton heads are down, aren't they? I mean, I know they pulled the goal back with Dewsbury Hall, but it's an incredibly poor performance from Everton. I'm taking nothing away from Newcastle because they were ruthless. They did what they needed to do. You've ended sort of that, the winless run on the road has come to an end. I think from now it's just about the consistency for Newcastle, isn't it? Because you can't be you can't be brilliant at home and then poor away. You've got to have sort of a happy medium if you want to get into the Champions League spaces again. And what you've got at the minute is you've got a cluster of teams around you that, same as you, take a couple of wins will get you into the top 8, or 2 wins take you further down the table, where you're sort of looking back going, or could we start looking at like 15th, 16th place, and it's not good enough for Newcastle. They need to be better. Well, but yeah, it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, Voltemada scores a really good goal. I think the German lad, I mean, he scores 2 great goals as well, doesn't he? The second one, that header's a bullet, isn't it? It's brilliant header. So, but yeah, great, and obviously to touch on Phil's point, Pickford unbelievably poor, and I'm not Pickford's biggest fan, but I do recognise him as a decent goalkeeper. And on Saturday, he was just all over the place. That shot, that is it, Miley's shot that he allows to go in. Is it Miley's shot? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's incredible. So, obviously he couldn't have happened to the team who he loathes, being a Sunderland fan. so that would have pissed him off a bit. But like I said, great performance for Newcastle. Just need to carry on with the consistency, and Everton just need to pick themselves back up and move on, don't they? So,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
yeah,
to be fair, it was I'm glad Eddie Howe dropped Pope. It came out that apparently it felt something in that, but
usually if
yeah,
he
great
dropped it,
performance
he's
from Ramsdale. He didn't have to do much, but it's still nice to see a choice to keep change there. But Spurs at
yeah.
home to Fulham. Um, Fulham beat Spurs 2-1. Nathan, you had it 2-1 Spurs. Phil, you had it. I had it 2-1 Fulham. Got it right. Another 4 points. Nathan, do you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, so this was a great result for Fulham, wasn't it? And I think we said last week. I think we all three of us said it wouldn't surprise us if Fulham did get a result because we do like Fulham as a team and what the players that they've got. Um,
I just
I
played the game.
think, yeah. Well, I think if you look at the result, obviously Spurs, the goal behind in the 4th minute. Well, they're 2-0 down after 6 minutes, isn't they? And you're thinking this is Spursy, and this is really Spursy. I mean, I don't know what Vicario is doing for the second goal. I mean, he comes out and he could just boot it into the crowd, and then he plays the pass towards the right back, who then puts it into Harry Will. And I have to say, Harry Wilson, first time, bang!
It's a right finish. It is a right finish. But what are the defenders doing?
It, but the thing is, though, we've played football, at level, and to try and get that in the net first time without even looking is hard to do. So like he's still got to even though the keeper's not in the net, there's still enough defenders around him for him to get that shot away. It's a fantastic goal. And then Kudus, second half comes, great goal by Kudus.
Unbelievable finish.
Yeah, and then you think, hang on a minute, here we go. Spurs are going to get back into it, and that they have a few chances, but then so does Fulham. So it was an evenly matched game, but it's a game that you're really disappointed in if you're Thomas Frank. He's starting to get asked a few questions now, isn't he? And I think I don't agree with it because I think he needs to be given a bit more time. We said this, or the one thing that he doesn't have, he has, two of his main players that are out injured at the minute. Obviously, you've got no Madison and you've got no Kulusevski. So there, you look at them two players, it's a massive miss. And I still think Spurs have got a really good team, and they are going to be there or thereabouts. But fair play to Fulham. I'm taking nothing away from that. It's an absolutely fantastic result, and it's a result that Marco Silva needed as well. So fair play to them.
Phil, you happy to see Spurs get beat again?
Well, I told you this season that it was going to be a horrible season for me, didn't I? Because I genuinely love Thomas Frank. I think I still love Thomas Frank. I love him even more now. He's bringing Spurs even lower. But no, I do like Thomas Frank, and I do find it difficult. And I think I said at the start, I'll see. It'd be interesting to see who wins the battle between Spurs and Thomas Frank. Does Thomas Frank manage to make Spurs Thomas Frankie, or does Spurs make Thomas Frank Spurs? And at the minute, Spurs are winning that battle. They've dragged down and destroyed many a good manager before. They're doing it once again. Just absolutely pitiful. How on earth we can be 2-0 down 6 minutes at home? He's just got to boot that ball out straight away. Like, particularly 1-0 down so quickly, just get rid of the ball. Why are you taking that risk?
And race like that.
I don't, take on board what Nate said about, and it is a crazy, ridiculous strike by Wilson. But what the fuck are the defence doing? If we've got your goalkeeper out on the touchline, and I don't know if you've seen the replay, but three of them are sprinting out towards it. What are you doing? The ball's going to a Fulham player. One of you has got to drop off and cover the goal line. You've got no goalkeeper, so absolutely mental kamikaze defending. And I've got to be honest. I got to be honest from a personal point of view. I turned the match on at 22 minutes, and just couldn't stop laughing for the next five. I didn't actually know what happened. Just seeing Spurs 2-0 down at home inside 20 minutes was bad enough. If I'd have known it was six, I'd have been falling off the sofa. Just genuinely appalling. I think I said on the show last week, just this genuine nonsense about it was a great result to concede 5 against PSG was just ridiculous. And they're just absolutely gash at the minute, aren't they? They're just cheer me right up every time I watch them. To be fair, so long may it continue. They're just absolutely useless. And I genuinely hope Thomas Frank wins this battle because I do like Thomas Frank a lot, and as much as I enjoy turning the TV on and watching Spurs get spanked, I will feel sorry for Thomas Frank if he ends up losing his job over this, because I do think Spurs fans would run out. Spurs fans they're a little bit like Man United fans, aren't they? They're totally deluded. Like this nonsense about we've got to play a certain brand of football and we're all about good football and attack. No, you're just about being a shite cup team. And that's what you are. So if Thomas Frank can make you more solid and you can get the attacking side right, it's a real positive. But I don't think. I think Thomas Frank might suffer from the same thing Nuno did. I don't think he'll get the patience he deserves to turn it around. And that I think would be a real waste. Again, I think that'd be too. You look at what Nuno's done at Forest and what he's looking like. He's started. I don't know West Ham didn't have a great result this weekend, but I think you've got to give these sorts of managers time to bring their ideas in, and I do think that he won't get that patience at Spurs, which is a poor thing. But no, always enjoy watching Spurs get smashed. Remind them there's only one good team in North London, and get what they deserved. And Fulham did what we said they'd done. They've been playing good football all year. Took advantage of a poor Spurs team whose head wasn't in it and should have been. So, yeah.
Well, I got you. Got your vote. You went on that, Nathan. We're going through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's move on
Yeah,
to
Nathan
Palace.
agrees.
Yeah. Sorry, I just got a lot lost a minute. Let's move on to Palace at home. They lost 2-1 to Man United. We all predicted the Palace win. Didn't happen. Nathan, you had it 2-1 Palace.
Yeah, it's disappointing if you're Crystal Palace because obviously I thought the first half particularly they were really good. They had some
Started
really
really well.
good chances. They started really well, and obviously they get the penalty, don't they? Which it's a penalty. It's no way you can't say it wasn't. He he has to retake it because he accidentally touched the ball twice. So, but obviously, if you've seen the penalty, he goes to the keeper's right the first, and then the retaken penalty goes to the
Smashed it
keeper's
down there.
left. It's I love to see it, me, because obviously when you have to retake a penalty, there's which way is he going to go? And Mateta absolutely nails it, but there is a chance where I think it's before the penalty he misses that he should score. Um, and we have a lot of chances in the first half. But again, this is the thing from Palace is the inconsistencies. If you don't take your chances, you run that risk. And obviously, if you look at the both the goals that Manchester United score, um, Xerxes, to me, I don't think he should be scoring from that
How on
angle.
earth he scores from there? It's just appalling goalkeeping.
Yeah, and then it's the same for Mason Mount as well. I'm a big fan of Dean Henderson, but I think his goalkeeping has to be questioned for both the goals. If I'm being completely honest, um, and Man United again, it's inconsistent. I mean, it's a good result away at Palace, but it's inconsistency because obviously they've got that win. It's a hard place to go. Palace are right up there at the minute, doing really well. Um, so it's fair play to him, and he gets the result. But if you're a Man United fan, you need to add the consistency, and that's something that they're not doing at the minute. They've got to string 3, 4, 5 wins together if they want any aspirations of sort of finishing in the top, in the European places. So, but yeah, I think Crystal Palace kicking themselves at they should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time, maybe even more than that. But again, you take your chances, it comes back to bite you on the bum, and that's exactly what happened. So a good win for Man United.
Disappointing for Palace, Phil.
I think there will be. I think if you look at how the match was in Europe in the week, they'll have felt they should have won that and didn't. So let that one slip through their fingers. And at half time on Sunday, they're thinking they've won that one as well. And you might argue maybe a little bit tiredness crept into the legs, but I think if you're Glasner, you'd have expected more of your team in the second half. Let Man United back into the game, backed off. What you said too. I'm not sure about the second one. The second one definitely poor defending from the wall. I'm not sure why they. I think they panic a bit when they see the fact they've nudged the ball and break up to run out and run it down. Level-headed and just let the nudge happen and let them kick it against a completed wall. I don't think it comes past the wall then. I don't know how on earth Xerxes forces that in from past Henderson from that angle. He doesn't hit the ball that hard. So I think Henderson thinks he's going near post, but even so, he had time to cover it. So not great from Palace in the second half. And I think what you'll find, I think they will feel that was 2 games in a row they've let slip through their fingers. And I don't think that's a great place to be as a team. So they want to get that back on track. I mean, probably a good thing for them. That straight back into the round of games tomorrow on Wednesday, try and get something back on track really. But I think they'll be frustrated with both those performances. I think they'll feel they should have won both those games. Yeah, not great. And now he's Man United again. some momentum to try and build on and see what they can do, but they weren't convincing. And I think on a normal day you'd still expect Palace to take that, but fair play. They can only play what's in front of you, and it was a good second half from Man United to pick themselves up from being 1-0 down. They didn't melt. They showed a bit of character, which is very un-Man United like at the minute. So yeah, great result for Man United. But I think Palace will be really frustrated with their work over the last 4 or 5 days. I think they'll feel they should have 2 wins, and instead they walk away with 2 defeats. So I'm sure Glasgow will be back on top.
Yeah, I mean, put himself in a great position, getting early goal. So obviously there's talk of, well, there has been talk of Lesnar replacing Hammering, but yeah.
Well, I think your only conclusion from the Glasgow situation is that he's leaving, because he's got what, like 6 months left on his contract, and there's absolutely zero noise.
Hasn't he? He's come out and criticised about not making signings. Obviously, there was a big hoo-ha with Gahey, wasn't there? You know, he put his foot down and said that he adamant he wasn't being sold in the summer transfer window. So Gahey's going to go. Obviously, then you start your players like Mateta. You know, I know you said, Phil, before you signed Gyökeres, you're someone you'd have seen at Arsenal. You know, the right back's a very good player, that Munoz, and obviously Adam Wharton's obviously been in the England squad. So it's one of those. Is it one of these where, does Oliver Glasner now try and win the Europa Conference League, and then at the end of the season say, "Look, I don't think I can take this Palace team any further than what I am without major reinforcements, and this thing is going to get picked off," and then
Well, I
he'd
know
walk
there's bigger
away.
clubs are hovering now. The big clubs hovering around him. So
He's a good manager. You forget he's won the Europa League as Glasner. He won it with Frankfurt, doesn't he? So this guy
You
knows
say
what
that though, but which big club is hovering around Oliver Glasner? Because Man United have been quite adamant in their
It
support of
possibly might
Amorim.
not be Premier League teams, though, Phil. It could be other teams in Europe that might need managers that may be looking at Glasner. He might travel around. So I do agree to the point at the minute. You know, there's probably no one in the top 5 or 6 that need a manager at the minute. And obviously, he'd look at Crystal Palace. If another job becomes available that sort of he deems below himself in the Premier League, is he going to take it? Obviously not. But to me, I'd be more worried about teams in Europe, like some of the bigger clubs that have had really poor starts and they're losing the managers. That's when they'll start looking at someone like Glasner. So
Yeah, possibly. Fair point.
yeah, I guess we'll see. He's proven himself time and time again, and he looks like a really good manager. And to be fair, like yeah, I can understand why some of these are looking at him. And like I said, with talk of Man United when Hammering fallout happening, that's quieting down now that they've blessed them. But yeah, let's move away from that. Your boys, Nathan, you predicted a 2-0 win. Wolves made it a bit more difficult than it needed to be, I think, in the end, and you think 1-0 winners. Point for yourself. Do you want to talk us through it? What happened?
So, like I said to you last week, Wolves always turn up against Villa, and they did. They looked at a team that if you were looking at, if you didn't know that Wolves were in the bottom of the table, you'd have looked at that performance and gone, "These ain't bottom of the league." But like I said to you, as a derby, they always turn up against Villa. I know they lost, but they made it incredibly difficult for us. We was probably a little bit leggy after playing in Europe on Thursday, so obviously it was nice to get the win. I think Strand Larson, he scores the goal. It's offside. I think it was a bit hard. They felt like it was a bit hard done by. Um, Emi Martinez, I don't know if you've seen it, pulls off an absolute worldie of a stay from Mosquera. I mean, this header's literally it's a bullet header in it. It's going in, and Martinez sort of taps it so it falls off the bar. And then obviously, it's the same with Wolves. If you don't score, if you don't take your chances, it will come back to bite you in the bum. And I don't know if you've seen it, but Kamara scored probably goal. It's a fantastic strike, and it's with his left foot as well. He's a right-footed midfielder. He just absolutely volleys it from about 25 yards. It's only going one place, and that is literally the underside of the bar and in. So it was one of them from Villa. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't great. But the thing is, though, it was the same again at Ellen Road last week. You know, you're not playing great, but you're winning games, and that's a mark of a good team, in my opinion. Obviously, it doesn't get any easier tomorrow when we play Brighton. Sorry, Wednesday we play Brighton, and then obviously we've got Arsenal at home on Saturday. So it's going to be a big week for Villa, and I think if we've got the aspirations of wanting to be a Champions League club, we've got to try and take some points from these two clubs. I'm not saying we've got to take maximum points, but particularly Brighton, who are literally, we're fourth, I think now, or third in the table. Are we fourth? Or I think we're third, aren't we? Are we third? Let me just double check that.
No,
Oh, sorry,
he's at third. He must be fourth.
well, sorry, we're fourth, but obviously Brighton are fifth, so it's a really big game on Wednesday. So, and then we obviously see if we can try and disrupt Arsenal plans. But we've been on a massive, massive, I think it's 7 games in a row now that we've won, and that's from where we were at the start of the season, it's a million miles different. But I always said to you guys, have faith in Unai Emery because he's a world class manager and he knows how to get the tune out of this Villa team. And again, it's the same again where Watkins he doesn't start, he starts Marlin. There is rumours of a falling out or a little bit of uncertainty with Ollie Watkins, and that's obviously not good. But the goals are being shared around the team, and we've not done that for a while. And that's, for me, I think that's a fantastic thing where you're not relying on sort of like your Man City, like a Haaland, to sort of drag you into a title race. So, but it wasn't pretty. It's unfortunate for Wolves, but again, I said to you last week, guys, they're in a mess, and they are they're embarrassment. They are going to be very very close to either breaking Derby's record or surpassing it. So it's going to be one of them. But they are 100%. They will not survive. They will not survive in this Premier League now. So, but yeah, we move on. So big game for Villa, and like I say, Wolves just have to try and restore some pride, don't they? So, but yeah, really happy.
Is there anything, Phil, that Wolves can do now to save this season at all, or Championship or next year?
This season for Wolves is about preparing for next season. Like there's they've not shown anything. And I know what you're saying. They made it harder maybe than you thought they were going to. But I think we said they wouldn't have enough to take points off Villa. And they never looked like trouble in Villa. And it. Yes, at times Villa maybe made a little bit hard work it, but you got to think that Villa played midweek, Wolves didn't. So do you know what I mean? Like they still look completely comfortable. There was never any doubt in the result, and it's not enough fight. We've said before they've showed 15 minutes of fight, 20 minutes of fight, but it was earlier in this podcast. It's 110 minutes in Premiership these days. 15 minutes of fight's not enough. You've absolutely got to show it for 110, and they're just absolutely none of that. And I think if you're a Wolves fan, to be honest, the new manager appointment probably leaves you more disappointed than before because there's been no new manager bounce. There's been no positive impact of his coming. And it's got to be about preparation for next season now because there is nothing else. They're not showing anything, and it's got to be about how they cope in the Championship for them now because, just not enough, and nothing at all this weekend that would make you think that's going to change because it just doesn't look like it's going to change. So,
No.
yeah, Wolves are done and dusted. Done and dusted.
They're in trouble out there, definitely. Well, Nathan, you took from Brighton, top 5, and they beat 2-1. Sorry, 2-0.
No.
Phil, you had it 2-1. I had it 2-1 to Brighton. You had Forest down for a win. What do you want to? Nathan, you had it.
Yeah, I think Forest will be disappointed. To be honest, I think we said it could have gone either way. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them where again, Brighton have created chances every match they've been in this season. They've always looked like scoring, even when they've not been playing particularly well. Forest. I think it's easy to forget, and that's myself included, that Forest is right in the thick of a rebuild project, aren't they? Right in the thick of it, and it just showed really that there is, we are only a couple of weeks away, really 3 or 4 weeks away from Pochettino's sacking, and Dyche has got a lot of work to do, and I think it's easy to forget that when they've had a couple of good results. But it was just a reminder really of where Forest are. Brighton just roll on, same as always. Really, they've showed it all season. They always look like scoring even when they lose, and this is no different. So Yeah, I think we said it could have gone either way. Unfortunately for Forest and our predictions, it did. But yeah, so nothing hugely unexpected from Brighton. They were always going to create chances, and they did. So Forest will bounce back. For they're on a journey with Dyche and he's going the right way. But they are going to there's a couple of teams we talk about. Are they going through a rebuild, going through a new manager who it's going to be up and down? And I think again, we all forget, don't we, that kind of progress isn't a linear line, is it? It is an up and down line. And you have to remember that at times. I think that's just one of those for Forest. I don't think they'll particularly worry about it. I don't think Sean Dyche will have a great deal of concern about it. And I think it's not symptomatic of where Forest are. I think it's symptomatic of the journey they're on. So,
Nathan, you mentioned Brighton being potentially rivals for that top spots at the minute. You see much of the game? You impressed with how Brighton are this season?
Yeah, I was impressed with Brighton actually. I seen the highlights. I think the highlights doesn't suggest it was probably a closer game than what it did because it looked like it were maybe more Brighton it were Forest. But I'm obviously reading that Forest had like 19 chances. So I think Gibbs White. I mean, he does like this acrobatic shot that he's really unlucky not to score. But I don't know if you've seen the second goal, but the pass, I love to see a defense splitting pass, and it unlocks the defense, and it's a great finish. It's a great goal, and I think they score that in the 88th minute, which obviously wraps up the points.
Yeah.
Forest are on. Obviously, we all thought. Well, I thought that Forest would have probably beat them, but Brighton doing what they're doing, they're really hard to beat, aren't they? They're very well drilled, they're very well organised. They don't have a team of superstars, but what they do have is a very good team that play together, and you've seen that against Forest. So it's going to be a very, very difficult game for Villa away at the Amex on Wednesday. But Brighton deservedly up there because they're doing what they do year in year out, where they constantly lose their best players, replace them with other players, and still manage to string results together and climb the table. I think Fabian Hertz is a very good young manager as well. Isn't he like 33, 34? And obviously sometimes you get questioned. He's too young. Can he handle the pressure? I think he's doing a fantastic job at Brighton. But like I say, you're disappointed if you're Forest. But obviously, I think it's only the second defeat for Sean Dyche. He'll bounce back. So they're going in the right direction. But yeah, great result for Brighton.
Yeah, great result for Brighton, and credit to, like I say, a team that's got a constant players coming out and consistent to keep winning the way he's winning. Can't knock fighting a manager. Kind of a great, like I say, especially because he's so young. He's got a long future ahead of him, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
West Ham home, Liverpool win 2-0 in the end. Nathan, you had it one apiece. Phil, you had it 3-2 to West Ham. We'll come to that in a minute, but yeah, Nathan, do you want to take us through the West Ham game?
Yeah, I think it was, from what I can read, was a very flat performance from West Ham, which is probably disappointing because they've obviously picked themselves up these last few weeks under Nuno. They're just starting to get into his style. Obviously, know how the squad. We know that they've been on a very poor run. We knew it wasn't going to continue forever. So obviously, you're looking at the West Ham game as a game where you think that you're going to go on and get 3 points. And obviously, I think the main talking point is that he dropped Salah, and I think that seemed to have worked. I think
Yeah, but they played shit though,
for
didn't
every.
they?
You are sorry.
They didn't play great though, did they?
They didn't play great, but they got the results, and then that's what you've got to look at sometimes, isn't it? So sometimes you can't play great every week, and I know Liverpool's results have been bad, but what's at the end of the game now that Arne Slot will look at that and go, well, I've picked up 3 points. I was under pressure. Um, I know you're not his biggest fan, but I do think Isak takes his goal very well. I think it's a well taken
Hey,
goal.
took it well, yeah.
I do think again.
no, you his biggest fan, Sean?
I do think though. Again, I look at how we place it. Can the keeper do slightly better? Maybe he can. I don't know. And then obviously, while you're 1-0 down, and I don't know if you've seen the red card from Paquetá. Just stupid,
Fucking ridiculous.
absolute idiot. Like,
Have you seen his crap on social media though?
yeah.
Oh, it's all about stress, and I shouldn't have had him.
So what you can't do is, and again, referees have got more tolerance than what they have maybe 10, 20 years ago, or even longer than that. So he chirps at the referee, he gets booked, and then he just carries on. Even his teammates are going, stop it," and then obviously gets himself involved again and gets sent off, and then blames the FA for his betting scandal. There's a reason why he gets sent off. Come on,
Yeah,
mate, have a day off.
it's
So,
ridiculous, isn't it?
and then
Where's your ownership and your accountability in it?
you're still in it at 1-0, aren't you? You're still in it, and obviously what you do is you put your team under massive pressure. Liverpool go forward, and then is it Gravenberg that scores the goal? Is it? It's a great finish.
Probably. I just dropped him from my fantasy football, so I'd imagine that's probably exactly what happened.
It's Gravenberg that scores.
Gossip.
Um, and it like I say, it wasn't the best performance from Liverpool, but they ain't back on track by any means. But it's a win that they needed, and they'll take that forward. And again for West Ham, really disappointed that you know that you probably thought you looked at Liverpool in the form that they are, you could put in a better performance, and they didn't. They were just really really flat. So they need to improve again. So yeah.
Phil,
Yeah,
not in the title race no
Nate's
more, are they?
you what? Sorry,
I said they're still in the title race or not?
who? West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
We can't mean this. Yeah,
It
no,
was
no.
Gakpo that scored. Sorry, not Gravenberg. It was Gakpo. Sorry.
Oh, good. I'll take that then. That makes me feel marginally better, mate. No, Liverpool are not in a title race. Liverpool's title race ended. Fucking hell, how far back I don't know, but Liverpool are not in a title race at all. They're in a top four race. They've got to focus. They're in a top four race. Their priority, bearing in mind what they've been through, what they're going through, their priority right now. It's got to be the long game. It's got to be making sure that whatever happens, they're in the Champions League next year. That's the race they're in. Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, possibly even Villa. They're all too far ahead and playing too consistent. Liverpool are not catching them all. They're not going to beat those teams when they play them based on the performance this weekend. The Sunday's match, yes, it gets them back on track. Yes, when you go into the sort of form Liverpool are going through, the only thing that matters is the result. But fundamentally, um, it was just shit and shitter on Sunday. Liverpool won the match, but not because they played amazing football. They won because West Ham had an off day. And like I've just touched on with Forest and Nuno's going through West Ham, what Sean Dyche is going through with Forest. Yes, the overall projection is going like that, but it's going to be like turbulence up and down. But overall, it's going up. But Sunday was a poor performance. Liverpool didn't win it by playing well. Liverpool won it by the fact they were somewhere near, their middle best. Nothing like the team they should be. Still don't look anywhere near where they need to be. But they've arrested the slump. They've got the result. What they now need to do is show, unlike the result against Villa, unlike the result against Real Madrid, that this now lets them kick on and get a few results in a row, rather than it's the flash in the pan and they're back to losing games again this week or on the weekend. They need to probably string together 3 or 4 games where they don't lose. They don't necessarily need to win, but where they don't lose. And they arrest this slump. So they've done step 1. They now need to do steps 2, 3, 4 and show they're getting back on it. But their target right now, looking at which teams are above them and looking at how well football those teams are playing and looking at the likes of Newcastle who are on their 6, who are also looking to get back up there. Liverpool's pressure right now is to end in the Champions League spots because they ain't winning the Champions League this year playing the way they're playing. We certainly can't see it at the minute. Unless they're going to do exactly what PSG did last year and look absolutely shit till Christmas and then switch it on. But at the minute, their focus has got to be Champions League football next year. There was nothing on Sunday that made you think they're back they're anywhere near a title race this season. There's signs, and you still expect when the new signings bed in next season out. But it ain't getting any easier, is it? We'll come on to the Chelsea Arsenal game. Chelsea are a team that are going to get better. Arsenal's entire squad is on contract till the best part of 2030. It's not going to get any easier for Liverpool to get back into this, but no, they arrested the slump. That's what they need to do. They're nowhere near a title race, nowhere near. And West Ham, it's one of the bumps in the road on their road to recovery, really. But they'll be fine. Again, they're showing more than enough under Nuno that they won't have to worry about relegation. You can't see that being a thing. So,
To be fair, after Paqueta got sent off, they were second half from what I saw.
yeah, but you can't give your opponents a leg up like that, can you? You can't afford to do it. Certainly not against when you're West Ham. Like it's just shot yourself in the foot, haven't you? Or he shot his team in the foot. And for like you both said, utterly stupid reasons. Like, there's absolutely no need for it. None at all.
Anyway, let's move on from that. Let's talk about the big game on Sunday, which was Chelsea home to Arsenal. If I knew had it 1-0, Phil, you had it 3-1 win for your Arsenal. I also had Arsenal. None of us scored points on this in a 1-1 draw. Phil, take us through it.
I think I said to you boys in the group chat, you know, it's a result that leaves me sort of not really knowing how I feel, to be honest. I think if you look at the first 38 minutes before Caicedo's hat-trick job, I'd have snatched your hand off for a draw because Chelsea were all over us, playing really well. I think Caicedo's red card probably pushes it away from them having any chance of winning. They score a goal from a set piece that obviously scared the life out of us. But I think we showed the resilience to come back into it. I think you look at the end of the match, we've got a lot of players on the pitch. You know, our defence obviously completely disrupted with Saliba being out, and having to take Calafiori off. I think you look at how we finished with, you know, Odegaard on the pitch, Gyökeres on the pitch. You know, Madueke's only his second. You've got 3 players there straight away who were on their first match or second match back from long-term injuries. So I think from an Arsenal point of view, getting a draw away from home against, on table, second best team in the country right now, is not the worst result in the world. And I think if you'd have said to me at the start of 8 days ago, we're going to play Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and Chelsea, we're going to come away with 2 wins and a draw, I would have snatched your hand off. So overall, looking at that context, and the fact we're still 5 points clear at the top of the league, let's face it, Man City don't look like they're going to string 9 or 10 wins together in a row. So they're the ones on our 6 right now. I don't think there's anything in there from a strategic point of view to be too upset about. From a tactical point of view, obviously, you're against 10 men for 60 minutes. You'd like to think you'd get a win, but, you know, Chelsea did very well. Obviously, Chelsea have had a number of matches this season where they've played with 10 men, and obviously they've got a game plan for doing that, and they've been practiced doing that. So overall, I'm not particularly happy about it. And I think there are points in the game you can look at it and go, well, we're probably fortunate to come away without losing that game. So in the end of the day, the way it all panned out, I would have taken it, I suppose. A bit disappointed, obviously. It's a bit of a reality check for us. You know, we are still, we might, and probably more from the rest of the league point of view, should be seen quite daunting, really, in that we probably are still the best team or squad in the country, and yet we are still learning. We are still only 3-4 months into being together as a squad. So I think we're still gelling on that point of view, and we're still carrying a shitload of injuries, and still looking solid at the top of the league. So I'd take it overall, but obviously slightly disappointed once they went down to 10 men that we couldn't get the win. But you can never really complain at taking a point away from home from one of your top 6 rivals, can you? So yeah, I'll take it as long as we challenge for us now. Winning boots back on against Brentford in these next couple of days. If we do that, then it's not too big a deal, and try and refocus for Villa on Saturday. Really, yeah.
Okay, so happy with it then, Nathan. And Chelsea genuinely in the title challenge now then.
I think they still are. I think they were. I think, like Phil says, they were the better team, weren't they, until Caicedo got sent off. And obviously, it's a poor challenge from Caicedo. I don't know what he's moaning about. I mean, you can see like he's like he's sort of like surprised, and you can't go in and stand on someone's foot like that in this day and age anyway. You know it's going to be a red card, and obviously all that does then it just puts it makes it a little bit harder for Chelsea. They then go 1-0 up. I think, ironically, Arsenal getting beat from a set piece. I think Chalobah just about beats Declan Rice to it, doesn't he? And it just, the one place you don't want it to fall to is at the back of the net, and that's literally exactly where it goes. So, I think then obviously Arsenal then do well because obviously the momentum does shift to Chelsea, even though they are down to 10 men. Arsenal then do well. I mean, it's a good finish from Marino, isn't it? So, it's a great. Was it Saka's cross? Saka's cross that went in.
I think it was Saka. Yeah, he got the assist, didn't he?
It was a great cross in. I mean, but the defending wasn't, brilliant. But obviously, you're still going to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think Sanchez does have to, he makes a couple of saves. He makes one in the first half as well. I can't remember who it was from, but he did have to make a couple of decent saves. I think there's a chance right at the very end, Phil, where I think comes into the box, and Mosquera takes it off. Is it Mosquera that takes it off
No,
Gyökeres?
it's Timber.
It's yeah.
Oh, it's so yeah. When that ball was in the air, you saw him running. You were like, "That's it. We've won the game at the death again,
Yeah.
just like Newcastle." And then
And you can
what a
see
brilliant piece of defending. He forgot what end he was at.
you can see the disappointment on Gyökeres' face, can't you? Like he's like he knows, because as a striker, you know that. I think this is the, we forget that Arsenal, they've got a great squad. I think, when you're without your main two centre backs for a big game like this, it is a big test. And they aren't, despite conceding the goal, I think that they held up pretty well. I know obviously Calafiore gets taken off at half time for Lewis Skelly. But this is Arteta saying he's not afraid to make the changes. If he thinks that you're struggling, he's going to make those changes. From the perspective of, like, if you can't win the game, don't lose it. So that's the mentality. I think it's the first sort of. It's not a gripe, but I think it's the first time where the media have gone, "Oh well, Arsenal should have won that game because they had 11 men." But it don't always work like that yourself. You've played against 10 men before, or your team have, and you find it incredibly hard to break down. So it's a good point for Arsenal. They'll move on to it. Brentford, you think they get back to winning ways after that. But, they didn't lose the game. And, arguably, I think you've got all your toughest away games out of the way now, Phil, haven't you? So,
That is it. That's all the tough ones done. Yeah. So it's a good place to be after having them out of the way. Apart from Villa, I suppose we got Villa away.
Before the weekend, if you'd have said that, you were 1-0 down, you'd probably take a draw, wouldn't you, at that stage? So, you're disappointed, but then you're not disappointed, if that makes sense. So you don't know how to feel. So, but yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point for Arsenal. I think Chelsea probably would have looked at that red card as a game changer, because they probably thought they probably could have got the 3 points after that. So yeah.
Stuff. Well, it's a packed calendar of football, and we've got more football this week. A shitload of football this week, kicking off tomorrow. So we're going to jump off and love you guys and leave you. Thanks for watching. Reese, thanks for your comments. Gordon was offside. You're probably right there with that one. Nice to keep commenting. #1 fan again this week. Yeah, so if you like what we do, if you like what we talk about, and our predictions or our not predictions, we're live every Monday. We also drop a few shows giving our predictions. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on anything putting up. And we'll be back again this week with another show, giving this week's predictions. So Nathan, Phil, thank you both for joining as ever. Been great to have you, and we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. See you all later.
Yeah.